All right, happy Pride Month, June. June also happens to be my anniversary, amongst other things in my life that I hope to celebrate. Today, June 1st, we had really good weather, and the first thing that really hit me when I went out for a walk was, God, I wish I could go this whole June without eating. Because eating is such a big distraction slash tax on our lives, and I'll get to that in a second. It really is. I almost feel like it's a tax that is imposed by God, and that without it, things would be a whole lot freer. And I'd like to talk about that. At the beginning of the decade, at the end of 2019, early 2020, my eating habits were out of control. And they weren't just out of control in the sense that I was gaining a lot of weight, that I had type 2 diabetes or heart problems or anything like that. No, that was the secondary concern. The primary concern was the intrusiveness on my social life. I would need to go to I was late for work and I wanted to get my favorite meal, and somehow it wasn't available and I would be stuck. I would be out with my friends and want to go out to get my favorite food, have a craving in the middle of an outing, or I would be late going to see my girlfriend, and because I insisted on getting a certain food, or I didn't want to go to a certain restaurant with my girlfriend because I'd rather be eating something else. Those were the kind of problems I was running into. The overweight and the physical health related problems were very secondary compared to that. And so I made a resolution at the beginning of 2020 to normalize my relationship with food. And 2 months later, one day I go to the store and half of my favorite foods were sold out. So was the rest of the store. Toilet paper was gone. And I remember thinking, oh yeah, I made that resolution. And I decided to fast because I couldn't find my favorite. I was looking for kielbasa sausages. Obviously, a big part of the reason I was having those cravings was to take my mind off of what was going on, right? Couldn't find them. My mom had called me, and when she heard that I was looking for some of my favorite foods, she offered to overnight me some stuff. And I told her not to worry because I think she needs to take care of herself first. She's in her 60s. She has some health concerns. And when I said it out loud like that, it made me feel stupid that I was hunting for trivial stuff, right? I had my toilet paper. I had enough to eat. It might not have been my favorite foods, but I had plenty to eat. And so I was in good health. And gee, over a pack of kielbasa sausages, my mom almost wanted to risk her life to send them. I felt stupid when I thought of it in those regards, and I decided, gee, I'm too stupid for that. I'm going to go on an intermittent fast. And I went 50 some hours, if I remember correctly, and I felt so good. You know, my family's religion, they like to fast in mourning of things. We just had the 10th anniversary of my grandpa on my father's side passing, and I think he fasted for that. Not as extremely as I usually do, but he went on a fast. And then we settled down, and one day I'm a professor. One day I'm teaching on Zoom when I turned on my Zoom and I was eating something, and I looked at myself eating, and I went, I couldn't believe the image. I looked so greedy when I put something in my mouth, and I put the food away and I lost my appetite. And I went another 40 some hours, if I remember correctly, and I felt so good. I felt so good. I was living in Phoenix, Arizona, and for a time I had a close female friend. I think she had a crush on me. I'm not into a long-term commitment, but we were close friends. She's Jewish, and it was Yom Kippur, and it was her first time attempting. It's a dry fast, and I decided to try it with her. And I think that not only was it dry, but another part of it that made it challenging was they abstain from sex, and I would assume that also includes masturbating. And usually when I go on a long fast like that, or especially if it's an extreme kind of fast, like a dry fast, usually I replace it with masturbating. And so that one taught me to be more mindful of what I'm doing. And I remember I wrote a number of computer games, and I came up with a lot of creative thoughts that I would have never thought about. I was living in a house that I shared with 3 or 4 other housemates, and things kept disappearing in the house. Nothing valuable, but toilet paper would not be available, silverware would disappear, And I remember sitting down and having a conversation with my housemates because I needed to distract myself from cravings to eat, drink, masturbate, and whatever, take a shower, or you couldn't wear leather, right? I had to distract myself from all that. So that was good. I saw the wisdom in the Yom Kippur fast when I came up with all these interesting things that I never would have dealt with, right? I work with a boss who's very difficult to communicate with. And earlier this week, I made myself go on another Yom Kippur-like fast. I mean, not for the whole 25 hours, but it forces me to be more creative. And finally, in the delusion of the suffering, I finally found the wisdom to talk to my boss. It's kind of weird. It's almost like a drinking habit, right? You lose your inhibitions. Fasting sometimes does that to me. The other reason I wanted to fast was to, especially last month, I lost 7 pounds. I gained some of it back, but I lost 7 pounds and became quite underweight. Go back and watch my videos from late April, early May. And I think some of my coworkers and my boss got a little bit concerned for me, and they gave me a lot of concessions that were a difficult ask, right? I got the lunar eclipse day off. I got a couple other concessions, minor ones. I wanted to go to a backgammon tournament, and I was able to do that. And next month, my favorite theme park opens up. I hope to get, because the weekends are very busy at the theme park, I hope to get a weekday off to go there. I think I will. Anyways, so that was good. Now, the two reasons I love the intermittent fast. It opens up, well, first of all, it frees up a lot of time. At the beginning of the pandemic, I wrote an AI for the game of backgammon. I nicknamed it Corona Gammon. And I credit the fact that I had all the time to do that in large part because I was fasting so much. I don't like to eat in front of the computer. For one thing, it really shortens the lifespan of the computer when food and drinks are always near the proximity of the computer. And second of all, it's a big distraction to my thought process, right? I have more money in my pocket. I was able to take advantage of, right now, apparently Russia is selling off their gold, and I'm taking advantage of that. And so the time and money from the fasting and the open wisdom, right? Oh my God, I'm having food cravings. Let's go talk to my roommates about how do we keep toilet paper in the bathroom, right? I love that part as well, right? But June has a number of days that I want to fast for. Today's June 1st. This Saturday is the birthday of Polish Idol winner Alicia Janazzi. I gotta fast for her because, believe it or not, we're friends on Facebook, and in the past she shared with me some wisdom about how to meet Eastern European girls. At the time, I wasn't fully committed to my solo sexual relationship with myself. Now, unfortunately, she doesn't believe that in solo sexuality. She's unhappy with me that I'm not going to meet anybody after all. And but that's all right. She gave me a lot of wisdom on that. June 13th of 2010, I went on my very first solo sexual date. What's really interesting is June 13th, 2020, I went to the Chaz protest in Seattle, Washington. One of my resolutions these past years has been to get over my fear of loud, crowded environments like that. So I made myself go to Chaz, and June 17th of 2014, I met another important figure in my life. And June 16th of 2005, I had a friend of mine from high school invited me to his graduation party, and I had a good time, and I learned a lot of important social skills. He doesn't like acknowledging that anniversary. Every time I tell my friend about it, he completely ignores it, but that's all right. I still credit him with giving me a lot of important experience. June 21st of 2016 was the first time I ever set foot in the second world. I was in Eastern Germany, and went to a bar, had a beer there, and the next day I continued on my way to Krakow, Poland. So a lot of important anniversaries in the coming month. June June 8th through the 17th, because June 8th was the day I June 8th of 2011 was the first day I was 100,000 there. Obviously, the market was in a bubble at the time. So the 8th through the 17th, I sometimes call that my 10 million mile anniversary. 10 million miles being the arc in the solar system where all these great events happened, right? So we fly by that arc, right? Anyway, so I'll probably fast for some of these events, and I'm still dreaming of the utopia where I can stop eating altogether, because all the great things I would do, right? I'd have a lot of easier time talking to people I need to talk to, writing computer games, finding the cure for cancer, among other. Can you imagine if the entire human race could stop eating, right? We'd free up all this farmland to do all these great things. We could put some launch pads there to go to space. Put some wind mills. We could put some solar panels, and maybe we could go mining for some new chemical elements. Right? How far have we dug into the Earth? Only a few miles. Right? If we went to the core of the Earth, oh my God! Imagine all the stuff down. The heavy elements. Right? You got your precious metals, your nuclear power, maybe even elements that we haven't discovered yet. Right? There's so many great things in the world to do besides eat, right? And look how let's just put some pretend food in my mouth. It just looks really greedy. I don't like looking at it. See, looking at it on the camera, I'm starting to lose my appetite again, right? All right. Enjoy Pride Month.